SNP spokesperson Chris Stephens.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. It's a pleasure to follow the former Home Secretary, and I certainly agreed with her remarks in relation to homelessness and veterans as someone who has a number of veteran charities in the Glasgow South West constituency, and they work with me and other elected representatives to make sure that veterans get the support that they need. But she was absolutely right about the trauma and some of the issues that they have to face, and I certainly hope that the government listened to the remarks that she has just made. Madam Deputy Speaker, some of this bill will relate to Scotland, and I will touch on those issues, and then perhaps I'm going to sound like someone who's making constructive comments from an international observer, as many of the issues here affect England and Wales only. But in terms of Scotland, as the bill says, the bill affects and applies to Scotland in relation to defence, official secrets, terrorism, telecommunications and wireless, financial and economic matters and consumer protection. And I hope the Minister will be able to clarify to the House that her officials and officials of the Scottish Government are engaging in these issues to make sure that there is a legislative consent motion that goes to that the Scottish Parliament will be asked to approve. There will be some grey areas in relation to that, in relation to consumer matters, because that's often seen as a grey area, but perhaps the Minister, in summing up the debate, will talk about what is being done with the Scottish Government. Madam Deputy Speaker, it does seem, though, that the bill, instead of solving challenges relating to crime or alleviating push factors like poverty, the Government does seem to be intent on more incarceration rather than tackling the causes of crime. Now, there are some welcome aspects to the bill, like tackling organised gangs and violent crime, removing templates for illicit activities, communication offences, of which many of us here, there are 650 members of Parliament, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I can tell you, I certainly view that what I'm seeing in social media and the attacks that we're all getting in social media, I do think are getting worse. And so, we do need to look at that. But it's not just about us, of course. There are many other communications offences as well, and certainly strengthening revenge porn law. Now, I know the Home Secretary has had to leave for other business, but he did serve with me on the All-Party Youth Violence Commission before his elevation to the ministerial ladder. And I do hope that the Government will look at the SNP's continued call, the call of the All-Party Youth Violence Commission, of implementing an equivalent violence reduction unit, as is the case in Scotland, which focuses on preventing violent crime through community and youth work, education and social services, because I know in the Glasgow South West constituency the youth organisations are playing a vital role in that, in making sure that we're turning young people away from youth violence. And there is a clear role for social services and education to have that whole approach to ensure that we are reducing violent crime, particularly for young people, because the Scottish Government's annual homicide figures now show that the rate of homicide is continuing to fall. The number of homicide victims has shown a downward trend since 2004-05. There were 52 victims of homicide in Scotland. That was one fewer than 2021-2022. But the biggest reduction in homicide victims are those aged between 16 and 24. And for the last 5 years, the average rate of homicide for the 16 to 24 age group was 10 per 1 million in the population per year. So I hope that the Government will look seriously at what happens in Scotland and learn from that in terms of youth violence, a youth violence reduction unit for the UK, and how it will engage with social services, education and the great youth organisations which are out there right across these islands who are engaging with young people in doing that work. Madam Deputy Speaker, as the world is changing its views on drugs, the Government appears to be expanding drug testing on arrest, and I think there is a concern that Stop and Search may disproportionately target those from an ethnic minority background. Looking at the figures in the year ending 31st of March 2022, there were 516,684 stop and searches in England and Wales. Ethnicity was not known or recorded for 20% of those. There were 8.7 stop and searches for every 1,000 people, but there were 27.2 stop and searches for every 1,000 black people, compared with 5.6 for every 1,000 of those who are white people. So I think that there is a concern there that I hope the government will look at, because it does look like that is discriminating against the BAME community. In tackling antisocial behaviour, Madam Deputy Speaker, we really do need to look at provisions which move away from this theory that homelessness is some sort of lifestyle choice. The immediate predecessor of the Home Secretary, I nearly said a previous Home Secretary, I mean the immediate predecessor to the current Home Secretary, I think was wrong-headed in weakening modern slavery laws that target organised begging in the streets, and then suggesting that people in tents is some lifestyle choice. And it's the second time that I just found that, and I think I wasn't the only one who found that that comment was completely and utterly ludicrous and ridiculous. Now, the bill enshrines that an authorised person may give a nuisance begging direction to a person appearing to be aged 18 or over if satisfied on reasonable grounds that the person is engaging, has engaged, or is likely to engage in nuisance begging. Now, again, there seems to be a complete this mismatch of government priorities. So instead of scrapping Section 21s, where landlords can currently evict tenants who are not on fixed-term contracts without giving a reason in England and Wales, begging will instead be criminalised, showing what priorities that the government appear to be adopting. And between 2018 and 2022, nearly 4,000 people were arrested under vagrancy laws for sleeping rough or begging. Now, begging is legal in Scotland unless it is deemed to be aggressive. And according to campaigners, begging has now become a common sight, but steep fines and criminal charges don't tackle its root causes. As the Crisis Chief Executive, Matt Downey, has said, while genuine antisocial behaviour must be addressed, we know that engaging people in support services is much more effective at ending their homelessness for good. And above all, no one should be punished just for having no home. In tackling antisocial behaviour, the government does appear to be reheating a zombie knife ban, which successive Home Secretaries since 2016 have tried and failed to ban the manufacture, sale and importation of. And there does seem to be, again, this is another area where it does seem to be something that the government do need to look at and perhaps get right. The Offensive Weapons Act meant that offenders with banned firearms could be jailed for up to 10 years, while those found with other weapons could be jailed for up to 6 months and fined. And under current rules, the possession of machetes and zombie knives are not outlawed unless they feature images or words on them that suggest they could be used for violence. This means that if police find weapons in someone's home, they cannot seize them, even if they believe it will be used to commit a crime. So I hope the government will look at that, and now it will be a criminal offence on possession of a bladed article with the intent to cause harm. So I hope the government will look at tidying up that particular piece of legislation. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I do apologise. The Tories appear to be prioritising more freedom of movement rights for prisoners than for any other UK citizen. British prisoners have more rights to stay in Europe than UK citizens currently do, with a 90-day maximum limit post-Brexit and visa and/or residence permit required thereafter. The UK Government said the plan would only be undertaken if facilities, regime and rehabilitation provided meets British standards. Transferring prisoners who are engaged in active legal proceedings in the UK, such as those making appeals against their sentence, does risk violating Article 6 of the Human Rights Act, which guarantees the right to a fair trial, and there are concerns about violating Article 8, the right to family life, due to difficulty ensuring family visits for inmates being kept overseas, as well as fears over the general quality of treatment. The government has accepted that the scheme could be costly, not least because taxpayers may have to pay for families to visit relatives in overseas jails, and would only be pursued if it represented value for money. Now, the government appears to point to similar practices in other countries. However, there are still concerns around this area. Questions remain over how the government could prove that it could ensure its values and legal obligations were upheld in another territory, and I think that is an important point which I hope the Minister will address in her remarks. But if prisoners do not volunteer or consent to be transferred overseas, this could violate principles of procedural fairness, which encourage prisoners to be able to share their side of the argument and have this considered and decisions made about them like good behaviour for parole. In closing, Mr Deputy Speaker, I do want to associate myself with the remarks made by the Shadow Home Secretary in relation to shop workers. They will be aware, as the House should be aware, that it was a Labour member of the Scottish Parliament, Daniel Johnson, of the Private Members Bill, which went through the Scottish Parliament, was supported by the Scottish Government, and I would hope that the Government would listen and would look to work constructively in any amendments which protect shop workers. What happened in Scotland was it was built by persuasion and consensus, and I hope that the Government will listen in that particular area, because I think that if they do, I think that shop workers across these islands would be very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.